5 minutes, the feature race here at Okayama in the Rotax Sim Racing Challenge. Go! Francisco gets a good jump away from the line. It looks like Patrick Woods-Toth is going to slot into second place. Watch out for Kenneth O'Keefe going around the outside there in a 73 car. And Mikko Nassi, who's looking up the inside as well, going into the first corner. They avoid contact. That's the most important thing. You've got through the 2 heat races. You don't want to ruin your race within the first lap. But it looks, and there's a spinner in the background. That was Dmitry Kofanov, wasn't it?
There was also Sawyer, I think, has spun as well. Max Palmer's gone off track. He's down to 33rd at the minute. So already a couple of casualties, and we've not even completed the first lap already, Adam. It's kicking off as looks like Nassi's going to be hounded for 5th by both the likes of, well, he's down to, be that like the likes of Garcia and Laszlo Zueva. Schwitter's not far behind them either, rounding out the top 7 positions as it's nearly side by side between Francisco and Woods-Toth for the lead. Nassi down in 3rd position. And Guindy's down into 13th as Teddy Sins now got off track. So he's had a bit of a drama as we're literally 60 or so seconds in, not even completing lap 1, around about 1 minute 45 around here at Okayama. And it sounds like it's even getting worse out there, Adam.
Yeah, 2 cars off. Wait, Hannah, it looks like Flavia Dantas, Johnny Guindy, the Heat 1 winner. Well, that's not at all gone to plan for him. After winning the first heat of the day, he is way down the order. He is down to 34th place, and that could be his race already over. But here comes Diogo Francisco Wayham through the final corner. Patrick Woods-Toth is right on his rhythm. He's gone off in the final corner.
And it is Mikko Nassi who does go to have a look along the inside. He is in 4th. He might go for the move. He might take 2 at once, but he doesn't think of that. He returns to the slipstream and returns to 4th. Of course, he is giving Kenneth O'Keefe a lot of pressure as they take turn 1. This is Daniel Daum, and he is with Marty Renhofer. And they are fighting for 11th at this point. Many cars taking it too wide towards this section because this is where you have various racing line options. Some of them using make a good use of that runoff. Of course, it's always nice with these cars. They are relatively forgiving if you don't push them over the limit.
And at the end of that first lap, Alex, we had Flavio Dantas in the pits, Teddy Sin, Alberto Palencia, Justin Allison, Johnny Guindy as well, Jose Soria, and a few others, all having to come to the pits at the end of the opening lap. But here come the leaders down the back straight, and it's as you were really in terms of the top 4, all where they started.
Yeah, it's been very close at the top 4. So now they've been able to get a bit of a breakaway, and the gap is around about 1.1 seconds between Mikko Nassi from Finland. We're just going back to a replay here of what was one of the incidents. So they're coming down the hill through into towards Revolver and Piper Corner. So this is right at the back end of the field as, now that's a bit of a whack and a hit, and we've had a rollover at the other side. So not good for some of our competitors as we have a look at the start here again. Jose Soria from Spain in the number 60 gets turned around and then gets collected. So not a great bit of work for anybody as we now go to Francisco as hang on. Is it me? I'm just seeing where Matthew Higgins is. He's tumbled down the order. Big time. Absolutely big time. Down to 22nd. Actually, make that... He's coming... I think he's out. That's his day done. The sole Brit that had made it through to the top 36 here. He's out of the race.
Well, we're about to have a look at a replay here that might explain it, or maybe not. But yeah, Matt Higgins, it's not as if he's been shown as having been in the pits or whatever, but yeah, he is. I'm not too sure what's happened to him, but that's a massive shame. After gaining all those places to get into the feature race, it looks like it's over after just 2 laps. Down the back straight we go then. Diogo Francisco's got Patrick Woods-Toth for company. Woods-Toth has been putting in the decent sectors over the last lap or so, excuse me, as they get on the brakes into the hairpin. And who's this up the inside? It is this is a fight between Ramos, Gerardo Ramos in 5th place, and Laszlo Sofa in 6th place. And Gerardo's gained 5 places since the start of the race, so a decent drive through the field so far by the Iberian. And if he continues at that rate, he might be able to close in on this top 4, which seems to be the immovable objects at the moment, because they are all where they started as they try to keep the cars behind from trying to invade that little group.
Yeah, just keeping an eye. I think Matt Higgins is still running, Adam, but he's down in 31st position. Teddy Sin is now in the pits as well, so that will put Matt Higgins to the bottom part of the top 30. But just keeping an eye on the lap times between Francisco and Woods-Toth as we're looking to go to another replay. This is Matt Higgins now. I'm going to see what happens here. So they're going up towards the hairpin. Oh, and he's clattered into the back, and he's, that's ended his race. So he's clattered into the back of somebody else. I'm wondering whether that might have been, I'm not too sure whether that was Teddy Sin if he's running a fluorescent livery, but Miko Nassi has set the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 43.04 from the Finn. And he's about 9/10 of a second off of Kenneth O'Keefe at the minute, or maybe it might be even less than that. So the gap is decreasing as Nassi now putting the pressure on after nearly 6 minutes completed of this final race in the Rotax Sim Racing Challenge. Excitement to plenty, I think, as we've got one car to the side there coming up the back straightaway.
Yeah, that was Dmitry Kofanov, the 11, that was parked at the side of the road. Fortunately, no one hit him. Looking at some of the big movers in the opening few laps, 12 places, maybe that 13 places came from Robert DeHaan. He's gone up to 12th place. Other big movers include Nathan Brito, Nino Reibel up 13 places to 17th. Adrian Kusaj up 15 places to get inside the top 20 already. So very good start from him. And Marcel Darvaj, who's just in front of him, who's gained 12 places. There he is, the 36 car. He's up to 19th. The big losers, though, are Florian Garcia, down 17 places to 22nd. Jan Schwitter, we were talking to him at the end of the second heat race. He has lost 16 places and is down in 24th. Oh my goodness me, that is the fight between Stockfleff, and it looks like the Swede has been pushed wide. He's going to come back on the circuit, hopefully no damage caused. Oh, and he's clattered into the car in front of him. That's Lackner, Martina Lackner, who nearly spins the car around and pulls off a fantastic save there, Weyhan.
Oh, that was a great save indeed. It could have been a disaster for either of those drivers. They go side by side into turn 1. And this is going to be Lackner. And, well, look, that was really unprecedented. These two drivers, they did not get the outcome that they had expected. Lackner in 16th, and it would be Stockfleff in 18th.
Well, I think, Alex, Weyhan said that nearly ended in disaster, and I think it did then in the end in that first corner.
Yeah, you're definitely right. It looks like Martinez sustained damage to the right front of the car itself. But I've had some interesting information now. For when we had a look at the replay with Matt Higgins, did you guys spot that his nose cone was missing? He had contact before the incident going into hairpin. And his dad, David's, just actually messaged me and just said that there was some contact between the pair of them. As Dmitry Kovanov has just said that, unfortunately, there was a bug for him, and iRacing didn't allow him to get to the grid. So, unfortunately, Dmitry was not able to take part, so it's booted him out of the system. But Matt had damage to the front of the vehicle caused by a contretemps between him and Robert DeHaan. So it's unfortunate for Matt because he had no control. He would have had no aero, even though the front wings on these Skippy Barber Formula 2000 cars are minuscule. They still provide some sort of aerodynamic efficiency.
Just having a look at some of the other cars that we seem to have lost in this one. Dennis Verdeking, I don't know whether he started or not. He's down right at the back in 38th place. That's a shame because he was one of the drivers that we saw in the second heat race. Really, really close to potentially missing out on this one. So to get in and then not be able to take the start is a massive shame for him. Fastest lap of the race, though, 42.8 for Ramos. I did say that he could be getting closer to these guys, and he's now just 2 seconds away. He was 2 tenths quicker than Miko Nassi on that last lap. And, well, it's going to be interesting to see how 2 seconds away, between 2 seconds separate Nassi and Ramos. What sort of gap does he need to get it down to before he can start to get the benefit of the slipstream on the back straight?
We could expect 0.5 of a second for the slipstream to come into effect. But of course, I think when you have a stretch that is long enough, when you're fast enough, I think any little bit of difference in air pressure can give you that bit of a benefit that you require. Of course, the pressure is on whoever who will lead this pack into the corner. They go into the happy. This is whoever who leads. Simonson and Ramos, these two drivers, 6 and 7, they are switching positions. of course, for Silva, he has pressure from behind to keep both drivers honest, and at the same time, he also has to try to make as much gains to close his gap with Nasi as much as possible.
And that's going to be the tough thing for Ramos and all these guys here, isn't it, Alex? Because you think you've got the move done, and then you think, right, I can start looking forward now. But then all of these guys, they start swarming all over you again when they get onto the back straight here.
What they've got to do is they've got to start working together. That's the key point. They've got to start working together, because if they want to catch the 4 in front and make it a 7-way scrap for the grand prize here, the Rotax Sim Racing Challenge, that's the best opportunity. They've got under 15 minutes of this race left to go, Adam. And let's not forget, there is still plenty of twists and tales, probably more than the never-ending story here, where we'll have an opportunity, as we're now with Richard Basford from Team Highlighter in the number 21 from Canada. So he's leading the train from 9th, 10th and 11th, which includes Philipp Hammer and Martin Renhofer in the 24 and 333 respectively. So that's a nice little battle for the lower part of the top 10, but it's not close enough to get anywhere near towards the top 5 at the minute. So they'll have their own battle, but now I think the battle really is going to be between not only the top 4, but if Zueva, Ramos and Simonsen start working together, they need to do so. And Simonson's actually the quickest of the trio at the minute in terms of concurrent paces. Ramos did a 1:43.5, Down did a 1:43.36, and then Simonsen put in a 1:43.14 on the last lap around. So they need to work together. They can't do this sort of like as you can on a karting track. So let's say, look, give them the sort of like, let's go for it. You know, these drivers will be wanting to outdo one another here, as I think there's going to be a move between Simonsen. Well, Simonson's back, but Down, I think, has got past, is that Ramos? That's Zueva probably going up the inside of Ramos through the hairpin. And Simonsen just behind. So Simonsen sitting in 7th place. But it's a great little battle there. So Zueva is behind Ramos. So yeah, still to play for. But there's still a 2-second gap between Ramos and Nasi. If they don't start working together now, Adam, it's going to be too late before they know it.
I was just going to say, yeah, you mentioned the whole working together element. Is that something that you see happening in karting as well? Little groups of drivers working together to make sure they can catch the guys in front of them?
Yeah, significantly. And then a couple of laps before the end, it's all gloves off, which is very different in the esports racing world, because you might be in a chat, you might be in a group call or something like that, talking amongst yourselves, or you might just decide to put yourself on silent, not hear anything, and just zone in, which is what any good racer will do, whether it be esports or real life. You zone out, you concentrate on what you're doing and play your strategy. And it's even more prevalent here in the virtual racing world.
Here we are, looking at the 2 fights going on right at the front of the field. And we'll going at it for those big prizes that we mentioned earlier on in the second heat. And it looks like that Patrick Woods has got a fantastic run on Diego Francisco. It's just going to be a case of whether he can get the move done or not. He pulls out of the slipstream, and if anything, that slows his top end speed down and allows Diego back to pull ahead. Or maybe he's just keeping his cards close to his chest in the opening, well, half of the race. We've just gone past the halfway distance. Here come the squabbling trio of Messrs. Sofa, Ramos and Simonsen, and they're still at it. They are now 2.1 seconds away, Wayhan, of the fight for the lead. And as Alex has been talking about, they do need to work together. But even though there's still quite a bit of the race to go, it looks like they're still squabbling over their own individual positions as we look at another battle pretty much doing the same thing.
Yeah, they sure do, and I think ultimately it's all about the balancing act, as we have Basford and Daum, these 2 drivers fighting it out. This is for position 8. I've also got Hammer over in 10th. It is a very effective 3-way battle. They come upon the final corners, nearly losing the rear end. Basford through the second to last corner. They come upon the last corner, and this is going to be a top speed run to the end. Look, it's all about understanding what exactly you're looking for. Do you want to close the gap with the driver in front and risk, because the thing is, it's not always that you would have 100% trust with the other drivers around you, and sometimes you might decide to play the safer strategy, whenever it plays to your benefit.
Yeah, I was doing the iRacing Nürburgring 24 hours at the weekend, and the amount of trust I had to put in the GT3 cars. I was in one of the Audi touring cars for that one. And going around the circuit like the Nordschleife, you've got to really put your trust in their hands, really, when they come to lap you. Fortunately, most of the drivers I was racing with were good at lapping me. But no need to worry about blue flags here. These drivers are going straight at it. They've all qualified during the week and, of course, in the heat race as well. Simonson up the inside into the right-hand hairpin at the end of the back straight. Just not close enough to get past Ramos there to try and get up into 6th place. He's going to have to try and go back to the drawing board and think where he can get the move done as we ride on board with him. Great shot here. It's brilliant watching these drivers put in the steering input. Now going towards the complex at the end of the lap. Is he going to go for a send up the inside here? You see how late they brake. They also move over to the inside line. And this is a part of the circuit, Alex, where you've really got to work the car, especially through this part of the circuit. Look at them. They're almost turning in by... They're trying to use the brake pedal to try and help them turn in a bit more, it looks like, through that part of the circuit.
It's definitely the case because they're using the brake pedal as a means of rotating the car. So the back end's going to start sliding out, but they've got to catch it using the steering. So it's a delicate balancing act. It's very much the same in karting. If you could... Well, let's say, for instance, the British Touring Car Championship. It's a perfect example of rotating the car, that you've got to use the momentum, but you have to step on the brakes a little bit to help that back end sort of give you a bit of it's like a Scandinavian flick, if you will, even though these cars are rear-wheel drive. You're going to get that same kind of effect. So you've got to use the brake pedal to sort of really put the anchors in, and how they set up the cars, as Simonson has set a pretty quick lap, a 1 minute 42.567, fastest lap of the race, down in P7 as he's still battling away with Ramos now, as Laszlo Zueva has got a little bit of breathing space, but I think we're going to go back to a replay here.
Yeah, I'm sure you see what's happening. Oh no, Florian Garcia has just pulled to the side of the road, and that is the end of the race for Florian. That's a shame. Was running up at the very front in the second heat race, but things haven't gone according to plan, have they, in this one? Meanwhile, here comes Ramos around the outside of Sofa, going into the right-hander at the end of the straight. Watch out, because Simonson's now going to come up the inside. He doesn't need asking twice. It is very difficult to get a move done around the outside of here, though, and that's why, because it is very much one line through this very short section of the circuit, these two corners, and now back into the complex again. It is that quick around this circuit. It's around just over 100 seconds in lap here at Okayama in Japan. And right now, it's almost like the calm before the storm, I'd say, Weihan. Everybody is trying to get moves done, but I'd say we'll see in the final 5 minutes or so them really start to go at it and try and use a slipstream to their advantage. I'm really intrigued to see what Woods-Toth is going to do as well, and trying to get past Francisco, because he is definitely picking up the slipstream and is lapping almost identical to what Diogo's doing at the front.
So this very shot, you can see a kind of a contrast between perhaps the driving attitudes of the first pack as well as the second pack. So of course, first of all, this pack, they do keep it all together, of course, with their goal of trying to maintain their advantage ahead of everyone to try to create a buffer, whereas for 5th, 6th, and 7th, I guess their focus is more on trying to edge one another out before they get the strongest driver to lead the pack through to where Nasi is.
And here we are, into the right-hander then. We haven't got too many more laps to go here at Okayama in Japan, and we're boiling up to a very exciting finish here. As you can see from the intervals, Alex, on the side of the timing screen, most of the cars inside the top 1.5 dozen are separated by less than half a second.
It's ridiculous. I knew it was going to be competitive. I didn't realise it was going to be that competitive. But the gap between Woods-Toth and Francisco definitely being decimated by the former. As looks like there's been a move up the inside. Ramos has got past Laszlo Zueva for P5, so that's best of the rest there, I think. They're fast running out of time, Adam, because we've got, 6.5 minutes on the clock remaining. The battle now is between the top 4 for the grand prize. So Francisco continues to lead. Woods-Toth. Oh,
sorry, I thought I saw a change for lead. I think they were just coming up to lap Anthony Milo, sorry.
They probably, yeah, I think you're right. So this is where it's going to get interesting, because if they start clawing up to any back markers, I'm just going to have a quick check on the timing. Well, Flavio Dantas, who...
Sorry, no, it's all gone horribly wrong, and that's the end of the race for Ramos and the end of the race for Nasi. And that's also Simonson parked in the middle of the road.
Oh, he's rolled it. He's rolled it. And that's so... So that has really given an opportunity for us to have a mano-a-mano battle at the front of the field between Diogo Francisco and Patrick Woods-Toth. Absolute carambolage there coming out of the final corner there. My goodness.
Well, it's something. I wonder why was Nasi's car in the middle of the road at that point? Had something happened between he and Anthony Milo? We did see the Frenchman who was getting lapped parked at the side of the excuse me, parks at the side of the circuit, going into the final corner. Oh, Nassi's already off at this point, and then he rejoins the circuit. Oh, and then Simonson, it's his late reaction to move that results in him barrel rolling the car. And poor Ramos is out of it as well. I wonder what happened to force Nassi, the Finn, off at the final corner. But he's out of the race now.
I think it's whether he's gone up the inside at turn 10 or 11 and lost it. That's where I'm thinking. If he's lost the momentum through turn 10,
you'll see on the replay now.
Yeah, let's have a look. Oh no, it's a clatter between second and third, and Nassi's had nowhere to go. So that would have been between.
That was the back marker, wasn't it?
That was the back marker.
That was Anthony and O'Keefe, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Oh dear. Well, such drama, Wayhan, and we've got 5 minutes to go. Hammer's also come into the pit, so we have lost quite a few cars within the last few laps or so. And look at that! You were talking about the shot of this shot a couple of laps ago, where we saw about 3 different battles on the straight. There's barely any of them left. We've only got 4 cars within one shot.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, we certainly did not see that coming. I'm so sorry, Alex.
No, it's all right. You go ahead. You go ahead. I'm just sort of. I'm trying not to tread on anyone's toes here, but everyone's been tripping over each other out on the circuit. As we've seen, it's been a bit of a. I wouldn't say it's been a bit of a wreck fest. It's been very, very interesting, but this lead between Francisco and Woods-Toth is not going anywhere. I mean, we're less than 4 minutes to go, and Woods-Toth is just waiting. He's like a wild tiger in the reeds, a bit like Shere Khan in the Jungle Book. He's waiting to make the move on Diogo Francisco as they come down the back straightaway, heading towards the hairpin at turn 5. I think Woods-Toth is just trying to time it, see if he can make Diogo Francisco make a mistake. I think that's what he's trying to do here. He's trying to put the pressure on.
Yeah, no, you could even hear it on the engine. You could hear that. In fact, Woods-Toth was just lifting ever so slightly when he was close enough to Francisco. So clearly, he does have something up his sleeves. His gloves are still on at this point, not off yet. But of course, we do have 3 minutes of racing to go. So this could just be a matter of time before we see Woods-Toth make a move on Francisco.
Well, when we get to the line, we are going to be starting. I'm trying to do some quick maths here. We'll be starting a penultimate lap. So 2 laps to go to decide who's going to be the winner here. Both drivers pushing to the limit, almost running into the dirt on the exit of the final corner. And if these two collide, it looks like Kenneth O'Keefe and Laszlo Sofa will be one of the drivers to potentially benefit from all that. The top 10 is rounded out by Fung in 5th, who's gained 12 places since the start of this one. Robert Dehane, who's gained 19 places to be up in 6th. Then it's Nino Riepel, who's gained 23 places to get up to 7th place. Some mammoth drives going on here. Then Martin Renhofer, Martina Lackner up in 9th, and Louis Stockfleff completing the top 10 here.
Yeah, it's still very interesting. It's still this cat and mouse game between the leaders here, Adam, because Renhofer's just put in a 1:42.7, so he's the quickest of anyone between 5th to 10th place. But yeah, I think as Wayhan was saying, that Woods-Toth is just timing it. And this, I think, is going to come down to the wire. I've seen this kind of thing happen before in karting, and you never quite know what to expect. And it's going to be an unpredictable race finish, I fear. As Solomon now is one of the other drivers. I think we've had at least 12 drivers eliminated from this final here in the Rotax Sim Racing Challenge as they go down the dip into Piper, and then the left at 7 at Revolver. But yeah, it's been such a great afternoon's worth of racing here on Apex Racing TV. But yeah, it's still quite close. I think when you say Wayhan, it's just as you said, Woods-Toth just having that little something up, like the ace of the pack, I think.
Certainly, he is still set behind Francisco. I think with every passing corner is every one less opportunity for his move to come to fruition. So of course he goes along the main stretch. I'm so sorry, Adam.
That's okay.
Now this is not where he thinks of making a move. He was about to make the move through that corner, but I think he was still holding it back. We've got less than a minute left. Oh, a little bit loose. I think he went through the entry, but of course he still manages to keep this gap neat.
Well, I think you mentioned those gloves being on. I think they're most definitely off now. They run it out so wide. I'm always amazed that they never end up spinning off by dipping 2 wheels into the dirt on the outside. But here we go, onto the back straight. This is where we've seen Patrick Woods-Toth get right up to the rear of Francisco. Is this going to be the opportunity for him now? Francisco has dominated his own heat race and has dominated this heat race up to now. But I think Patrick Woods-Toth might just have it in hand here if he can carry the speed around the outside into the next left-hander. Oh, that's very close indeed. Round the outside goes Patrick Woods-Toth. He is going to be on the inside line, though, for the next left-hander, and that could be crucial. He is marginally in front, and he has got the lead with 1/3 of the lap to go. A fantastically executed move by Patrick Woods-Toth, but it's by no means over yet as they go into the final few corners. This is going to be a fantastic finish, but I think Diogo Francisco is now going to have to get inventive if he wants to regain the race lead. He's led, well, every 14.5 laps here at Okayama, but it looks like he's not going to lead the final half of a lap that matters, because we are coming into the final 2 corners now, and it looks like, they nearly collide. It's going to be Patrick Woods-Toth from Canada is going to take the checkered flag and win with a last lap overtake the Rotax Sim Racing Challenge here at Okayama. Wow, what a finish, Alex.
Congratulations. Patrick Woods-Toth, for those wondering where he qualified, it was actually not. I'm having a look. He qualified in 11th position after the 3 days of qualification. Well done. That was a great drive.